children from illegitimate treatments, not prevent them from accessing treatment that provides them with the support they need. But supporting children who may not conform to heteronormative standards also means protecting them from practices that harm their development and exploration of self. And that is precisely what BSIL C6 does.
I'd like to interrupt the member and advise you that you will have almost 7 minutes right after the period allotted for oral questions. And we now go to statements by members. L'honorable député de Nepean.
The honourable member for Nepean.
The honourable member for Nepean.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm pleased to state that I hosted the 3rd annual Hindu Heritage Day on the Parliament Hill virtually last Saturday. Hindu Heritage Day on the Hill is done to highlight the contribution of Hinduism, the oldest religion in the world, to the mankind. This is also an opportunity to educate Canadians on the Hindu heritage and its inputs into the fields of arts, culture, science, astronomy, medicine, and to many other areas. Hindu Heritage Day is also an occasion to recognize, appreciate, and celebrate the contributions of Hindu Canadians to our great country. Hindus arrived in Canada from different parts of the world and have immensely contributed to the socio-economic development of Canadian society and economy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honourable member for Surrey Moose.
Madam Speaker, I rise today to highlight the incredible work being done right here in Canada and around the world on carbon capture and storage technology, CCS. CCS is being utilized to significantly reduce emissions created by power generating stations and industrial emitters through the capturing and sequestering of CO2 underground. This green innovative technology can be utilized by numerous industries, cement, steel, to drastically cut their emissions while also creating jobs. Indeed, many other countries have recognized the value of CCS. In September, the International Energy Agency released a special report said to be the most comprehensive global study on CCS to date. It stated carbon capture is critical for ensuring our transitions to clean energy are secure and sustainable. This government needs to make sure that Canada is providing the right incentives for industry investment when it comes to CCS. An investment in CCS is an investment in the future of Canada's environment and well-being. Thank you to Boundary Dam Power Station for being a great leader in this technology.
Honourable member for Cape Breton-Canso.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is with great sadness that I speak in this House today in honour of Harvey Lewis, a strong community leader in Cape Breton-Canso who passed away this month. A proud citizen of Louisbourg for all his life, Mr. Lewis knew what it meant to be community-minded. He served as mayor from 1979 to 1988 and held many other positions of leadership within the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. He co-chaired the Louisbourg 95 Commemoration Society and served as the chairman of the Cape Breton Regional School Board and held regional positions on boards serving vulnerable populations. Mr. Lewis even worked in Ottawa at the National Research Council during the Second World War before returning to Louisbourg to join his family business. On behalf of Cape Breton constituents and members of this House, I offer my sincere condolences to his family and to the community of Louisbourg. Those who knew Mr. Lewis well knew him as a kind and generous, patient man and somebody who always thought deeply about what was right. He held firm to those principles. It's my hope that we can carry forward Mr. Lewis's principles of putting community first and thinking deeply about what is right for our communities. Thank you.
The honourable member for Montarville. Mr. Speaker, after giving a class on freedom of expression, history and geography teacher Samuel Paty was savagely murdered by an Islamic fundamentalist. France, rightfully outraged, denounced with everything it had this horrific, monstrous act. Mr. Paty was given a state funeral, and a huge wave of solidarity washed over all of France. "I am a teacher" could be read on signs at many candlelight vigils. In assassinating Samuel Paty, freedom of expression was the terrorists' true target. The Quebec National Assembly lowered its flag to half-mast as a sign of support for France, and Quebec MNAs observed a minute of silence at the instigation of Liberal member Marwa Ridsky. On behalf of the Bloc Québécois, I'd like to offer Mr. Paty's family and loved ones and our French friends our deepest sympathies. The honourable member for Orleans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, the branches of the Canadian Legion have been going through hard times since the start of the pandemic. As of Friday, October 30th, poppies go on sale. I'd encourage all my colleagues to support their local branch by purchasing and proudly wearing a poppy. On Saturday, October 31st, my team and I will be joining one of the kiosks of the Orleans Branch 632 Legion to help them out with their fundraising campaign. Mindful of public health rules, the Legion has adapted its format by setting up 4 points of sale outdoors over 4 days for contactless drive-through purchases of poppies, or this year's feature, lawn signs. I'll conclude by thanking our Canadian Legions for their strength, resilience, and community-mindedness. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to thank and recognize the constituents of Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa in their extraordinary response to the challenges of COVID-19. As I have said before, it's an honour and a privilege to represent you in this House each and every day. This was further proven by your flexibility, willpower, and commitment to protecting your families, your friends, and communities by slowing the spread of COVID-19. Over the past few months, you've demonstrated exceptional leadership, working together as rural Canadians always do. You have saved lives, you've protected the most vulnerable, and you've supported our frontline workers like never before. For that, I sincerely commend you. Going forward, it is critical that we continue to do our part. We must remain vigilant and follow the advice of our public health officials in order to slow the spread of COVID-19. This is not a time to relax our commitment and forfeit our tremendous hard work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Brampton Centre.
Mr. Speaker, in recognition of brutal killing of youth by Nigerian authorities, I, on behalf of Canadian Nigerian community, would like to express my deep concern here today in this House. This act of brutality has shaken the entire Nigerian community, not only in my riding, but also in all over Canada. They have expressed their concern to me. In 2017, during my visit to University of Ife, in interaction with the youth, I realized that they want their country to flourish for better. Mr. Speaker, abuse of power has no place in global community. Those responsible for cruel human rights violation must be brought to justice and held accountable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg North.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to recognize a very special group of people. I'm talking about the live-in caregivers, our home care service providers. Over the year, Mr. Speaker, they will perform all sorts of tasks that enable people to remain in their homes, often improving the quality of life for Canadians in all regions of our country, often providing the type of care that's necessary for people to be able to go to work. Just in general, Mr. Speaker, making our communities a better place because of their sense of dedication and love of caring for people. And I just want to take this opportunity to express my appreciation and appreciation on behalf of the Government of Canada for the fine work that they do day in and day out for all Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Provencher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Liberal government is drowning in ethics scandals and conflicts of interest. SNC-Lavalin, We Charity, and most recently awarding a $237 million contract for ventilators to a shell company for a former Liberal MP. There was no call for bids, and the price per unit was nearly $10,000 more than it should have been. That's a $100 million signing bonus for a Liberal insider. But what else bothers me? Just how little coverage this has been given by the CBC. A single passing reference in a single article. The CBC already receives $1.2 billion from taxpayers. Now the Liberals are teeing them up for an additional $34 million. Despite the obvious public interest in investigating this latest Liberal ethics lapse, the CBC is nowhere to be found. This is both frustrating and concerning. Taxpayers deserve value for their money. They don't need another broadcaster propping up this corrupt Liberal government.
The Honourable Member for Moncton Riverview Dieppe. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last fall, Frank McKenna at the University of Moncton announced $1 million generous contribution to create the Frank McKenna Centre. The official opening has occurred, and the goal is to help train the next generation of leaders in Acadie by developing leadership skills and social innovation and entrepreneurship. It will also make it possible for students to complete their university studies while participating in activities that will prepare them for the labor force, and they will gain valuable experience. As a graduate of the University of Moncton, I'd like to thank the family of Frank McKenna for all their contributions to the university. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Today, I rise to pay tribute to Stan Shoemaker, who passed away this past month at the age of 87. Stan was a political institution from East Central Alberta who served as both a member of Parliament and a member of the Alberta Legislative Assembly. He also served as Speaker in the Alberta Legislature, where he could always be counted on to stand up for our parliamentary institutions and democracy. Mr. Speaker, Stan was also a veteran, having served in the Royal Canadian Armoured Corps. After retiring from elected politics, he continued his law practice and remained a constant voice for his community and grassroots politics. This was where I got to know and appreciate Stan, where we could always count on his voice of experience. Today, on behalf of the people of Battle River Crowfoot, I want to pay tribute to Stan's life of service and the impact he made in our region, Alberta, and Canada. And I share condolences with his wife, Virginia, his family and friends, and the communities he spent his entire life serving. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Mr. Speaker, entrepreneurs across our country are struggling to just get by during the pandemic, with female entrepreneurs being hit particularly hard, with Liberals continually getting emergency programs wrong. Women like Angie, who is a professional hairstylist, in order to meet safety protocols, her salon is using a 3-day workweek rotation. She also has to now work 12-hour days, taking her away from her family to bring in revenue that would normally take 8 hours. This is due to stacking not being allowed, which is where you rotate between 2 clients at a time for efficiency. Women like Heather, who is a professional registered massage therapist, similarly has to work longer days due to client distancing and cleaning protocols. She is a self-employed healthcare provider whose hourly rates are regulated, and she receives no PPE assistance. Both these self-employed women are not applicable for any programs unless they dramatically reduce booking their long-time loyal clients. Mr. Speaker, it's obvious the Liberals don't understand the working environment of these entrepreneurs. Instead of focusing right now on ways to avoid scrutiny for their scandals, they should be focusing on fixing programs so Angie and Heather and other Canadian women like them can stop falling through the cracks.
The honourable member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley.
Mr. Speaker, this past summer, I sent a letter to the people of Northwest BC asking them what concerns them most. A huge percentage listed the climate crisis as an urgent concern. The throne speech promised a climate plan immediately, yet it's been over a month. The Prime Minister promised 2 billion trees would be planted, yet a year later we have 0. Now he seems to think Canada needs an election. Time is ticking, Mr. Speaker. We need every day, every hour, and every minute to fight the climate crisis. While other countries invest heavily in sustainable pandemic response, Canada is being left behind. We have the people we need, we have the ideas we need, we are only lacking the political will on the part of this government for urgent climate action. Action that measures up to the magnitude of the challenge before us. Action that allows us to look our kids in the eye and tell them that we did everything we could with the time that we had. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Trois-Rivières. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to highlight the exceptional contributions of Michel Letarte to the community of Trois-Rivières. A 30-year veteran of the police force, he has also stood out for his involvement in the community and his catchy humanitarianism. As the owner of an eco-friendly cycling company, Mr. Letarte did not hesitate before coming to the assistance of Artisans de la Paix in distributing foodstuffs. He has also been a professional singer for some 20 years, and he was one of the initiators of a growing movement in Quebec, the events sector, part of our culture, whose main goal is to promote this area which the pandemic has hit so hard. Mr. Letarte is a model of perseverance and generosity. On behalf of all residents of Trois-Rivières, I'd like to thank Michel for his generosity and perseverance. Thank you.
Member for Cypress Hills Grasslands.
Mr. Speaker, we have seen Canadians all across this great country step forward to help out with responding to COVID. Businesses have adapted, with many of them retooling and refocusing on producing the PPE and medical equipment our country needs. Sadly, there are people in my riding and region who are ready for the job, but they weren't picked for the Liberals' Team Canada approach. My constituent Brad wanted to manufacture PPE. While bidding for a contract, he first had to prove his production capacity. Then he was left with no deal and $300,000 worth of equipment lying around. Meanwhile, companies with Liberal connections are having no problem. Former MP Frank Bayliss only had to prove he was a Liberal before he was part of a $237 million contract. And he's not the only questionable case of a Liberal insider who was offered a massive contract either. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are struggling, and they're sick and tired of seeing a Liberal government prioritize their friends and supporters in business. Canadians deserve better.
The Honourable Member for Sudbury.
Mr. Speaker, COVID-19 has impacted the lives of Sudburyans and all Canadians in many ways, including their mental health. October is Mental Health Awareness Month. As Canadians, we must take care of our mental health just as we take care of our physical health. The three pillars of mental health are sleep, nutrition, exercise. Eat healthy at irregular times, incorporate regular physical activity to your day, and make sleep a priority. And as all of Northern Ontarians know, getting outside for fresh air improves both physical and psychological well-being. De petits changements peuvent faire une énorme différence.
A small change can make a huge difference in confidence and energy. Instead of fixating on what you can't control, focus on what you can.
Look up cmha.ca for mental health services and supports near you. Mr. Speaker, there is no health without mental health. Merci, Mr. President.
Suite aux discussions.
Following discussions among representatives of all parties in the House, I understand there's an agreement to observe a moment of silence to mark the death of Professor Samuel Paty, assassinated in France on October 16, 2020. I now invite honourable members to rise.
Oral questions. Question orale, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, on Friday, the government put out an urgent news release on the fisheries crisis. At 10:18 p.m. Nova Scotia time, they appointed a former Liberal politician to cover up their inaction on the fishery issue. The only thing the two sides agree on, Mr. Speaker, is that the fisheries minister is failing Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, we're months into this crisis. When is the government finally going to take the lives and livelihoods of Nova Scotians seriously?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, actually, the people of Nova Scotia, and I believe the people of Canada, agree strongly on one thing, and that is that all of us want a peaceful, constructive solution to the fisheries dispute in Nova Scotia. All of us appreciate the importance, the huge priority of honoring the rights of Indigenous people and First Nations in our country. All of us also understand the importance of conservation. That is the approach our government will take, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the rights of Indigenous Canadians are important, and that's why it's disappointing the Prime Minister once again walked back a promise to end all boil watery advisories on Indigenous reserves by the end of 2021. Test results revealed harmful substances in the water at Neskantaga, leading to a full-scale evacuation of the community. As winter begins to set in northwestern Ontario, the people of Neskantaga have been forced to flee their homes. This after living with boil water advisories for 25 years, Mr. Speaker. How many more walkbacks will there be from this Prime Minister to show that he cares? Will he get it done?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am very glad to hear the Leader of the Official Opposition talk about the importance of ending boiled water advisories, and I noted that he spoke about how this problem has been going on for 25 years. That's a time of both Liberal and Conservative governments. And I would say we have a shared responsibility, all members in this House, to address the huge historical injustices against Indigenous people. We are working hard to end the boiled water advisories, and we will end them.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the government's new tone on China always comes with conditions. In the House, the foreign minister is all bluster, but then he issues a statement claiming his change in tone is the result of political cycles. On Sunday, the health minister said that if China misled the world about COVID-19, they should be held accountable. The rest of the world knows Beijing held back critical information. Only this minister seems to have some doubt. Mr. Speaker, why does the government find it so hard to face the facts when it comes to Communist China?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't find it hard to face the facts about authoritarian communist regimes. I have lived in one, and I have reported on them extensively. When it comes to China, let me say a few things. First of all, first and foremost for our government is standing up for the 300,000 Canadians in Hong Kong. And let me say to them, we are with you, you are Canadian, and our government will always support you. Let me also say how appalled our government is by the treatment of the Uyghurs, and we're going to speak up for human rights everywhere in the world.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Monsieur le Président, la ministre de la Santé.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Health has always believed the Chinese Communist Party in its management of the pandemic. All of our allies are saying that Chinese numbers are false. Because of this misinformation, our country was not ready for the pandemic. And now, she is saying that China must be held accountable if those numbers aren't correct. When will the minister stop defending China and admit that she was wrong? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I think it's very important for each and every member of this House to be aware of the difference between a democracy and an authoritarian country. Democracies are more transparent. Regarding China, I would like to underscore the importance of the 300,000 Canadians who are in Hong Kong. We stand with them, and our government will always stand with them.
Le chef de l'opposition.
Speaker, in French, the Deputy Prime Minister just informed us that the difference between a democracy and a communist country is transparency. This from a government that was about to force an election rather than answer some reasonable questions in the WE scandal. This from a government suggesting that the Health Committee looking into the pandemic is going to shut down our economy. So my question is this, Mr. Speaker. Is she going to vote in favor of transparency and democracy later today, or will she follow the leader's basic admiration for dictatorship?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Let me just say, Mr. Speaker, that it is either ignorance or purest partisan insinuation to in any way suggest any similarity between a democratic government of Canada and the leadership of a communist regime, between any Canadian Parliament and the authoritarian government of China. Now, Mr. Speaker, we need to draw these lines very carefully, and we need to use words like democracy and transparency with great care. I do, Mr. Speaker. I would urge the members opposite to do the same.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, on the 30th of September, 5 million Quebecers found themselves in a red zone. And that means that businesses had to close in many cases. The next day, the 1st of October, the Quebec government announced help to businesses for their fixed costs, but not the federal government. And a month later, we're still waiting for that assistance. Today, Quebec will announce that the lockdown is going to be extended. They're at the second month of management of this pandemic, but the federal hasn't even caught up with the first month. When is the government going to give help to our SMEs? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate this important question. I completely agree that our SMEs need help with their fixed costs. And I will be tabling in the House in the coming days measures to assist our small businesses, and I hope that the Bloc will support those important measures. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, earlier in the pandemic, I talked to this government and we agreed that businesses will need help for their fixed costs. And you know when we had agreed on offering that help? The 11th of April, but it's been more than 6 months. Now, after threatening an election, this government is saying it's finally going to help SMEs. But businesses have been waiting for 6 months. How many bankruptcies have been caused by these delays? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have already given a great deal of assistance to small businesses throughout Canada with the wage subsidy, the Canada Emergency Business Account, and other assistance that goes directly to businesses. But I agree, we need to do more, and we will do that in the next few days, and I hope that all members in this House will vote for those important measures.
Burnaby Sud.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
25 years ago, the Nishnawbe, for the last 25 years, the Nishnawbe First Nation has not had access to drinking water. 5 years ago, this government promised all First Nations communities that they would have access to drinking water. Today, the community has had to evacuate during a pandemic due to a lack of drinking water. Will the Prime Minister admit today that he had never intended to keep his promise? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Thank you for the question, Mr. Speaker. But I cannot agree with my colleague. The reality is that the lack of safe drinking water for First Nations communities is a Canadian tragedy and crisis. Our government is working to address it. We have made progress, but there is still much to be done, and we will do it.
Or Burnaby South.
Mr. Speaker, for 25 years, the First Nation of Nishnawbe has not had access to clean drinking water. 5 years ago, the Prime Minister promised all communities, all Indigenous communities, that they would have access to clean drinking water. Well, 5 years later, the First Nation of Nishnawbe has had to evacuate during a pandemic. Will the Prime Minister admit today, will he admit that this was just another empty promise he had no intention of keeping?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I cannot agree with one of the assertions of the leader of the NDP. I know that he knows that our government, like his party, and I believe like all members of this House, we all understand the boiled water advisories are a national tragedy and a national shame. Our government is working earnestly to get those advisories lifted. 91 long-term advisories have been lifted since 2015, but I would be the first to admit that there is a lot more work to do, and we're going to do it, Mr. Speaker.
Le député de Louis Saint-Laurent.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Mr. Speaker, More and more Canadians are realizing, very unfortunately, that the Minister of Health is becoming an embarrassment for Canada. I'm not even going to get into the photo of her without a mask at the airport. I'm talking about rapid testing. There have been endless delays, and now she's nourishing a fight with the provinces, as if we needed that during a pandemic. On Friday, in an interview, she said that some provinces decided to deny government directives. Why is she preaching to the provinces yet again?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank all the provinces and territories for working on national testing guidance that indeed can guide provinces and territories how best to shepherd and use testing resources to get to the best outcomes, which is to truly understand where the virus is and how to trace the close contacts and then isolate people that are potentially infected with the virus. Mr. Speaker, it will take all hands on deck to do so, and we continue to support provinces and territories to have the best tools possible.
L'honorable député de Louis Saint-Laurent.
The honourable member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Let's talk about assistance to provinces, Mr. Speaker. Provinces need rapid testing. In my province, Quebec, we are facing a major problem. We have now had more than 100,000 cases, and we greatly need rapid testing. The minister has stated that rapid tests will be distributed, although that hasn't happened yet. But we're seeing that in Quebec, there won't be enough. According to the minister, is it because Quebec has not followed government directives that it doesn't deserve this help?
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to delivering procurement supplies, whether it's rapid testing, whether it's personal protective equipment, anything else, we work closely with provinces and territories to develop a sharing agreement. That is exactly what's happened with rapid tests as well, and many of them are out the door this week, arriving in provinces and territories in the days to come. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank all of my colleagues and ministers of health for working out these agreements that allow us to have a shared approach to ensuring the resources get to where they're needed the most.
The honourable member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, this weekend we learned that Canada might receive vaccines only 3 months after the UK or the US. The way the Prime Minister has performed during this crisis reminds me of a bad baseball batter who never manages to hit the ball. The Prime Minister closed the border much too late, took too long to get rapid testing, and now has signed this agreement for vaccines 3 months later than our allies. Why is Canada always facing a delay compared to other countries? The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, I thank the honourable member for the question. However, he is somewhat mistaken in the analysis that he is providing. On the contrary, we have signed 7 agreements with vaccine suppliers. We have signed agreements for over 2 billion items of PPE to support our health regime. And in addition, regarding delivery dates, we are working very aggressively with our suppliers to ensure that Canadians will have access to vaccines as soon as they pass Health Canada approval. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, could the minister explain why this morning at a press conference she's trying to scare Canadians? With regard to the Conservative motion on the Health Committee, she's saying it's problematic. We need information and facts. Can the minister accept that we should pass this motion to help Canadians and stop trying to scare them? After trying to get us into an election last week, the Conservatives are now trying to pass a motion where our greatest experts are telling us that it's dangerous. It's dangerous because it jeopardizes negotiating contracts for vaccines and medical equipment, Mr. Speaker. So we shouldn't let partisanship endanger our government work, but instead work together for all Canadians. The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Health said last week that not a single Canadian has asked for more money to be given to officials who are processing access to information requests. But that is not true. There is a Canadian who has asked that, and an important one. The Information Commissioner of Canada on Twitter said that she was very disappointed by the minister's statement. This Prime Minister tried to trigger an election during a pandemic last week. Will he do what's right and vote for transparency and our motion this afternoon?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, we take openness and transparency very seriously. I'll be speaking with the Information Commissioner later this week to speak with her about her concerns and to make sure that we're living up to our commitments at Health Canada to provide information as it's requested by Canadians.
Honorable député de Mégantic.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-l'Érable. Mr. Speaker, a Liberal MP once said in this House, redacted documents with key information missing is not disclosure. Non-answers in the House is not disclosure. Personal rhetorical attacks is not disclosure. Who said that, Mr. Speaker? Why, the Prime Minister said that. This government has always preached openness and transparency ever since it was elected. And now here we have a minister who is refusing to support a motion which will cast light on her management of the pandemic. The government is going to vote to hide information from Canadians today. Why?
Le leader du gouvernement de la Chambre.
A Conservative member once said this: impartial public servants are the ones who will determine what should or shouldn't be revealed. And it's very important not to reveal confidential cabinet information. That's always how things are done. Always is what that member said, Mr. Speaker. Who said that? The member for Carleton. The Honourable Member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, Liberals are so used to cronyism that they don't even notice it anymore. Last year, they were caught using a partisan tool, the Liberalist tool, to choose judicial candidates. They wanted to find out who were good donors to the Liberal parties. They find that completely normal. Do the Liberals realize that this isn't normal for average Canadians? For Canadians, it is not acceptable that in order to become a judge, you need to be one of the little friends of the Liberal Party.
L'Honorable Ministre.
The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canadians expect judges to have the right training to understand the full context of the cases before them, while also respecting the principle of judicial independence. And Canadians expect that leaders work together outside party lines for the well-being of Canadians. Mr. Speaker, we have created a system to appoint judges that is transparent, merit-based, diversity-focused, and I'm very proud of the results. The Honourable Member for Rivière-du-Nord. Mr. Speaker, the Minister seems to not hear the question. I wasn't talking about that. As I said earlier, the Liberals are so used to cronyism that they don't even notice it anymore. There's another thing. They granted a contract for medical equipment, a contract worth $237 million to FTI, an empty shell which did not exist 7 days before the contract was granted. And it doesn't even produce medical equipment. Then FTA hired Frank Baylis as a contractor. Frank Baylis was a liberal member here, not more than a year ago. Mr. Speaker, when you start a company, you don't get a federal $237 million contract in the very first week for services you don't even offer. Why did FTI get this if it wasn't to do a favor to Frank Baylis? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much for the question. I would like to say that there was a process when this contract was granted.
Science and Development Economic Canada launched a call-out for contracts for suppliers. There was an independent process. 5 contracts were granted, and one of those contracts went to the company mentioned. There were other contracts with parties of all political stripes, Mr. Speaker. It's important that ventilator companies, like all companies, stepped up for Canadians.
L'Honorable député de Montarville.
The Honourable Member for Montarville. Mr. Speaker, as my colleague was saying, Liberals are so used to cronyism that they don't even notice it. Look at the We Charity scandal. It could have been avoided, Mr. Speaker. If the government really wanted to give students grants, it could have simply given grants to students. It's that simple. Using transfers to Quebec, for example. Problem solved. Or even avoided entirely. But no, they decided to instead create a new program out of whole cloth, tailor-made for their little friends at We Charity. Is it just me? Or is it that the Liberals don't even seem to realize that it's not normal to create a program so their friends can manage it at great profit to themselves? The Honourable Minister.
I appreciate the opportunity to share with the member and all Canadians that when it came to the response for COVID-19, this government put out a $9 billion program for students as well as youth. And the federal government stepped up. The federal government stepped up in partnership with provinces and territories, because when it comes to the response to this pandemic, it's really important that we all work closely together. And we're still in the midst of this pandemic. When it comes to the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, over 700,000 students benefit. When it comes to making sure that students that are entrepreneurs be able to benefit, we increase funding to Futurepreneur. When it comes to making sure that students could pay back their student loans, we actually put a moratorium on student loan payments as well as interest, and the list goes on, Mr. Speaker. We are all working this together, and the Bloc should realize it's going to take all of us to fight this pandemic. We have a lot more work to do.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Mr. Speaker, while questions period's been going on, the leaders of 11 municipal governments in the Greater Toronto Area released a statement saying that they wanted to reopen after the current 28-day pause, which is reasonable given that we're 9 months into the pandemic. So, a question for the Health Minister. We see that cases are increasing. Why are cases increasing even though we're wearing masks and we've had restaurants closures? How much do restaurants closures actually reduce the spread of COVID-19? What data is she basing that information off of, and has she shared that with the provinces?
Honourable Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, I think the question reflects some misinformation on behalf of the member opposite. It's actually not the federal government that makes decisions about restrictions at a local level. It's the provincial government. And in fact, I would encourage her to have a conversation with her provincial colleagues about what data they're using to determine what public health measures they'll apply. Listen, our advice remains the same. There are things that people can do to reduce the risk of infection, including keeping our distance from one another, washing our hands, staying home when we're sick, and wearing a mask in public places. Thank you.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
So, Mr. Speaker, it's that exact answer. Blaming the provinces for things like not having rapid tests, that it's their responsibility to procure. Not even taking her responsibility as a health minister seriously is why Parliament needs to study the government's response. I mean, just this weekend, we had the minister seated without a mask, seated beside a snack bag as her excuse. We had the Minister for Procurement say that Canada wouldn't get vaccines or that we're on track for it, even though Radio Canada says that we're not. The government's all over the place on this. Parliament needs to do its job in order to scrutinize the government's response. It's spending. So our provinces, why aren't they doing their job?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, I think we can all rise above the partisan attacks and understand that all of us are working really hard to ensure that we get Canadians through the worst pandemic in a century. And Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the work that we've done with provinces and territories, including the $19 billion that we transferred to provinces and territories to ensure they had capacity for testing, contact tracing, data collection, all of the tools, Mr. Speaker, that the member opposite is talking about, that the provinces are currently using to manage the pandemic in their jurisdiction of authority, which is healthcare delivery, Mr. Speaker. I think it would also be incumbent for all members of Parliament to understand exactly what levels of government are responsible for and have levers to control.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Mr. Speaker, there's only one taxpayer. There's only one single mom who can't get a rapid test. There's only one person who had to close their business down. We're all responsible for this. We're all in it together, and that's why Parliament needs to come together and scrutinize this response. What she just said was just the antithesis of what we should be doing in this space in this time of crisis. We need to be reviewing the government's response. They don't have it together. That's where Parliament can help. That's what can unite our country. Why is the minister so hell-bent on preventing Canadians from getting answers on their failed response to COVID-19?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what I'm quote-unquote hell-bent on is getting Canadians through this pandemic with their health and their economic security, like all members, I would hope, in this House are hell-bent on getting. Mr. Speaker, we have been working day and night, supporting provinces and territories, supporting individuals with economic concerns, supporting small business with wage subsidies and low-interest loans and rent subsidies. Mr. Speaker, we'll be there for Canadians for the long haul, and I am proud of the work of this government, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that every Canadian has the protection they need.
The honourable member for Skeena Bulkley Valley.
Mr. Speaker, in just 66 days, residents in the rural community of Tolel on Hattagwai are going to lose their only internet access when an agreement between Xplornet and Telesat expires. These residents need to run businesses, attend school, book medical appointments, bank online, and stay connected with their families all over the internet. This pandemic has shown us that broadband internet access is far from a luxury. It's essential for daily life. What is the minister doing to ensure people in Tolel and across rural Canada do not lose their internet access?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to thank my colleague for the question because I live in a rural area and I understand that internet access is not a luxury, it's essential. In the last 7 months, many more people are working from home. They're accessing goods and services online. The kids are doing their classes from the kitchen table. So it's more and more important, more than ever, that all Canadians have access to the internet. And as was confirmed in the Throne Streets, Mr. Speaker, we will accelerate the connectivity timelines and the ambitions of the Universal Broadband Fund. We are going to ensure that all Canadians, no matter where you live, have access to high-speed internet.
Member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Since COVID hit Canada, we've seen a series of errors and poor decisions from this government. They failed to ensure our frontline responders had enough protective equipment. They canceled Canada's early warning system, costing us precious time and worse, Canadians' lives. They created a vaccine task force that operates in total secrecy, suffers from conflicts of interest and concerns we're months behind other countries. Canadians need answers to build a better future. Is the real reason the Liberals fear transparency because they're failing to protect Canadians?
Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the member opposite for the question. In fact, this government has been fully transparent with Canadians all along. In fact, we have appeared in front of the Health Committee a number of times, me, as well as many officials from both Public Health Agency of Canada and Health Canada. We've provided documentation. We've included and briefed the opposition critics all along the way. Mr. Speaker, we'll continue to be there for Canadians, working with provinces and territories in the global pandemic of our lifetime.
The honourable member for Kingston and the Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When COVID-19 hit Canada last spring, our government put out a call to Canadian companies, telling them Canada needs your help. And so Canadian companies did what Canadians do best. They sprung to action. They retooled and manufactured personal protective equipment. They reached out to their contacts around the world to get equipment to Canada that we need. Those companies are now concerned about the Conservatives' political games around the motion being voted on after question period today. Can the Minister of Public Services and Procurement comment directly on the industry's concern?
The Honourable Minister of Public Services.
For the question, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that as a government, our obligation from day one has been to protect the health and safety of Canadians. And it's not just our government that is concerned with the motion on the table today. We have heard from doctors, the Vaccine Task Force, suppliers, manufacturers, exporters, the Immunity Task Force, and vaccine suppliers with their concerns with this motion if it goes forward. Why? Because it puts their sensitive, commercial, proprietary information at stake. I hope that all members of the House will vote against this motion today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, member for Carleton.
At the bottom of the sea lie approximately 6 different gathering rust fiscal anchors that this Prime Minister has cut loose from his ship. Remember, only $10 billion the deficit, and only for 3 years. The deficit to debt to GDP ratio will never rise, and we will never be downgraded. All those anchors have since been abandoned. In fact, we haven't had a budget in well over a year, the longest period ever. So I asked the minister, what is Canada's new fiscal anchor?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me tell you what our government's economic policy is right now. Our economic policy is to do what is necessary to fight COVID and to support Canadian workers while we're doing it. And let me just say, Mr. Speaker, our policy is working. 76% of jobs have been now recovered in Canada since the depths of the COVID recession versus only 52% in the United States. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing because it works, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Carleton.
It works to make sure Canadians can't work. In fact, we have the highest unemployment in the G7, higher than the United States. And as for all the programs, we support the wage subsidy, the emergency benefits to Canadians, the emergency loans to businesses, but they only account for $175 billion of the $380 billion deficit. In other words, the majority of the money is not going to everyday Canadians. If it were, every household would have $40,000. That's their share of the deficit. But the money is going missing from the time it leaves to the government to the time it goes out to the economy. So where is all that money? Is it at the bottom of the sea with those missing fiscal anchors?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, if the Conservatives want to offer Canadians an economic policy of austerity in the face of COVID, they are more than welcome to do so. But let me quote TD Economics. This is what they have to say about how our policies are working. No matter how you slice the data, the Canadian labour market has been on a steadier road to recovery relative to the United States. The report concludes that perhaps the old adage that when the U.S. sneezes, Canada catches a cold should be changed. When the U.S. sneezes, TD says, Canada builds antibodies.
The honourable member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, last year the government suspended arms exports to Turkey because it wasn't upholding its obligations. Last April, the Prime Minister spoke with Turkish President Erdogan, and reports indicate he committed to addressing Turkish concerns about the suspension of these arms exports. Subsequently, 7 drone systems were approved for export from Canada to Turkey. Did the Prime Minister or Foreign Affairs Minister override the recommendations of global affairs officials and approve these exports to Turkey?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the member for the question. Over the last several weeks, allegations were made regarding Canadian technology being used in the military conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. And upon learning of these allegations, the minister immediately directed Canadian officials to investigate the claims. And in line with our robust export control regime and due to ongoing hostilities, the minister suspended immediately the relevant export permits to Turkey to allow time to further assess the situation. And we call for all measures, why I may say, to be taken immediately to stabilize the situation on the ground. We want a peaceful resolution.
Member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the last 2 previous investigations took 1.5 years and 6 months and led to nothing conclusive being done. The government still hasn't answered the question. It's clear that Canadian drone systems were diverted to the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan in clear violation of the Arms Trade Treaty, the Wassenaar Arrangement, and Canadian law. So once again, did the Prime Minister or Foreign Affairs Minister override the recommendations of the Global Affairs Risk Analysis and approve these drone systems for export to Turkey?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's be very clear. Our government is committed to a strong and rigorous arms export system, and that's why we've acceded to the Arms Trade Treaty. Human rights considerations are at the center of our exports regime. And Canada has one of the strongest export control systems in the world, respecting human rights, and these are enshrined in our Canadian legislation. The minister will deny any permit application where there's substantial risk of human rights violation in keeping with Canadian law and in keeping with human rights obligations.
The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised that Canada would make a greater contribution to peacekeeping around the world. He promised to provide the UN with a 200-troop quick reaction force for peacekeeping missions. Last year, the government said it was a done deal, but the UN has told us that this is false. The force is not among available resources. Will the Minister of Foreign Affairs set the record straight and apologize to the House? The Honourable Minister.
As has been very clear, a mistake was made indeed in officials' testimony to the committee and what was presented. An apology has been given, and we will continue to respect the work of our peacekeepers around the world, and we will continue to do the work that Canadians want us to do. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes, Verchères. Mr. Speaker, for 7 months now, the Minister of Transport Canada has refused to force airlines to refund passengers for cancelled flights. Instead, he's telling people to complain to the Canadian Transportation Agency, and people did listen to him because the agency received 10,000 complaints. Do you know how many of them have been processed, Mr. Speaker? None. Zero. Not one. The minister is sending people to a dead end instead of doing his job. People want their money, and not in forever and a day. When will he compel airlines to give refunds to passengers? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I've said many times, this is not the ideal situation. I understand the frustration of Canadians who would like to be refunded. At the same time, this is something we're encouraging the airlines to do. And we must also realize that they are experiencing a great deal of difficulties. We need, therefore, to focus on measures that will ensure Canadians have a safe, reliable, and affordable air transportation industry.
When the Canada Food Inspection Agency falsely accused Fraser Valley Specialty Poultry of illegally shipping product across provincial boundaries, they told the owner to just admit he was guilty and pay the fine. But Ken Falk refused. He fought back and was found not guilty of all charges. Now the government is refusing to pay back his over $100,000 in legal fees and won't even tell him how to avoid being falsely charged again. Why are the Liberals running roughshod over this hardworking Canadian farmer?
The Honourable Minister, l'Honorable Ministre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can assure you that with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, we are working very closely with entrepreneurs, and we are dealing with a multitude of challenges when it comes to trade barriers. I can assure you that we are doing for the best possible in order to protect our food inspection system, ensure it is robust and well recognized, as well as to provide the best possible support to processors and farmers.
Sarnia Lambton.
Mr. Speaker, every week in Canada, a woman is killed by her domestic partner. Every week. And with the pandemic, there's an increase in human trafficking and in domestic violence. And although this government has talked a lot about eradicating violence against women, little action has been taken. In fact, the MAPI funding was eliminated, and they've shelved the Murdered and Missing Aboriginal Women's Report recommendations. When is this government going to take real action to address violence against women in Canada?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with my colleague 100%. There should be no violence against women in Canada. Everybody deserves to be safe. And we know that all Canadians are feeling the impact of COVID, but we know it's clear that women are feeling more and more to a greater extent. But we have taken measures to support. We've given $90 million to help improve capacity at shelters and sexual assault centers, and an additional $10 million from Indigenous Affairs. We're supplying over 1,000 organizations with funding to help women in need. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're only in October, and already the drug overdose deaths in the Okanagan have surpassed that for the entire year of 2019. And unfortunately, the numbers are similarly surreal across British Columbia. You don't have to look far to find someone in my community who has a family member that has unfortunately fallen victim to addiction. This is a crisis, and we need action now. Why is the Health Minister continuing to drag her heels on taking action on addiction and recovery?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My heart goes out to the member opposite. I don't think any of us in this room can say we're not touched by someone who struggles with substance use or mental health issues. And Mr. Speaker, that's why we've taken this issue so seriously. In fact, in regards to the opiate overdose crisis, it's this government, Mr. Speaker, that restored harm reduction to Canada's drug strategy, that brought back compassion to an approach to supporting people who use substances to recover, to ensure that people could access safer supply of substances and use substances in a way that could connect them into resources and begin that hard process of recovery. Mr. Speaker, this is not an easy problem. It doesn't have an easy solution, but we're working very hard with, in particular, BC and all of the provinces and territories.
The honourable member for Newmarket, Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, throughout the COVID pandemic, people in York Region have appreciated this government's continued support for public transit. Transit services like the proposed Yonge North subway extension are critical to getting people to work and home quickly and safely each day. Would the Minister of Infrastructure and Communities share with this House the government's ongoing investments in public transit in York Region?
The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure.
I thank the Member of Parliament for Newmarket Aurora for his excellent question. Public transit investments create good jobs and help Canadians get around their communities. This is why this government funded the planning and preliminary engineering of the Yonge subway extension into York Region, while Conservatives ran on a platform of funding cuts for infrastructure. Our government has committed over $5 billion to transit projects in the Greater Toronto Area. These investments mean better jobs, reduced emissions, and more resilient communities.
For Northumberland, Peterborough South.
Mr. Speaker, many organizations in Canada are suffering through the pandemic. Among them are the Legions. The Legions are struggling through it, and part of the reason, according to their Dominion Command, is because Legions don't often have to file tax returns because they're nonprofits, which makes them ineligible for pandemic relief. Mr. Speaker, through you to the Minister of National Revenue, when will they be eligible for all pandemic relief?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our priority with emergency measures payments. Inaudible for the interpreter. Such as audit activities, and in some cases, the agency will ask individuals to provide additional information in order to ensure their eligibility.
Honourable member for Edmonton Riverbend.
Mr. Speaker, the government continues to put policies that hurt Albertans front and centre. Now get this, not even 24 hours after Alberta announced their plan to diversify the economy by becoming a recycling hub, the Liberals announced that plastics will be labelled as a toxic substance. Mr. Speaker, this new label is toxic to Alberta's economy and the men and women who work hard in the plastics manufacturing sector, like the Teamsters Local 987. Why is this Prime Minister so intent on leaving Albertans behind?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, 1 in every 3 workers in mining, oil and gas, that was how many workers were able to stay in their jobs thanks to the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. And that's a subsidy that's going to continue through right until next summer. It represents hundreds of millions of dollars to support energy sector workers. It also represents tens of thousands of families in Newfoundland and Labrador, Alberta, and in Saskatchewan who will continue to be able to go to work and put food on the table thanks to this Liberal government. We are supporting workers, we are supporting families, and we are supporting our oil and gas sector proudly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Calgary Rocky Ridge.
Mr. Speaker, this government has consistently failed small businesses by attacking them with draconian tax changes, calling them cheaters, designing aid programs that have not reached struggling small businesses, and bungling the availability of rapid testing, which small businesses need for recovery. Now, after 6 months of announcements, the government claims it's finally fixed the emergency bank account for personal accounts. When will this government now fix the rest of their botched aid programs and table a credible plan for economic recovery?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the honourable member for that question. Nothing is more important to us than helping our small businesses get through this very difficult time, whether it is the small business loan that has helped over almost 800,000 small businesses, or relief for fixed costs such as the rent subsidy, and helping businesses with payroll. There are literally millions of Canadians that are benefiting because of the support to our small businesses, and we will stop at nothing until we keep supporting the work that they do because they're so important to our communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Hamilton East, Stony Creek.
Mr. Speaker, we know that access to high-quality education for young people is critical to not only individual success, but also local economies and Canada as a whole. However, we know that access to post-secondary education is not equal across the country. In the North, entrants to post-secondary now have an option to pursue their studies north of 60 with the creation of our Yukon University, but more needs to be done for access to education across the North. So could the Minister of Northern Affairs update this House on our government's work on this important file?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for Hamilton East Stony Creek for the question and for his hard work. The creation of Yukon University this year was an important milestone for the North. Building on this, last Friday, I was proud to announce the creation of the North Post-Secondary Education Task Force. It'll play an important role in delivering on the objectives of the Arctic and Northern Policy Framework to close gaps that exist between the North and the rest of Canada. By addressing long-term inequalities in the North, we are building healthier communities, respecting the rights and interests of Indigenous peoples, and support a strong economy.
The Honourable Member for North Island Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, people are seeing systemic racism in action in Canada. We have the Indigenous Services Minister publicly stating that he disagrees with the RCMP Commissioner. The RCMP Commissioner defending the police response that left Mi'kmaq fishers in danger and resulting in devastating property damage. The government and the RCMP Commissioner must own that the lack of planning is systemic racism and finally address it. On Friday, the Assembly of First Nations called for the Commissioner's resignation. Can the Minister be clear? Does he have confidence in the RCMP Commissioner?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. All police services, including, of course, the RCMP, must be committed to ensuring that the people that they serve and protect are treated with dignity and with respect. I had a conversation today with the National Chief about his concerns. The issues that we discussed are serious, complex, and long-standing, and they must begin with an acknowledgement that systemic and structural racism and bias exists throughout our criminal justice system. Police reform must ensure justice and fairness for all Canadians, and that reform is the mandate that we have given to the RCMP Commissioner and what we expect from the RCMP. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener South Hespeler.
Mr. Speaker, the number of reported cases of COVID-19 in Canada continues to rise, as we've seen this past weekend. We know that the key tool to combat the further spread of the virus is the COVID Alert app. Unfortunately, not all Canadians have downloaded the app or even have access to the app at this time. Could the Minister please update this House and Canadians about the government's plan to increase the use of the COVID Alert app?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And the member is absolutely right. Downloading COVID Alert is a way that you can help to protect yourself and the people around you. It is an app that protects your privacy. In fact, reviewed by the Privacy Commissioner as such, we're very thrilled that many provinces have onboarded the app. And so I encourage all Canadians to download the app. It's very simple. It takes only a second, and it's another way that you can make sure you're protecting your own safety and those people around you.
That's all the time we have for oral questions today.
At 3:06, pursuant to order made on Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020, the House will now proceed to taking of the deferred recorded division on the amendment to the motion of Ms. Rempel Garner relating to business of supply. Convoquez les députés.
Call in members. The list of members voting by video conference has now been established for use by the table.
Is the following one. Ms. Rempel-Gardner, seconded by Mr. O'Toole, moved that the Standing Committee on Health be instructed to undertake a study on the emergency situation facing... May I dispense? Thank you. I heard suspense, but I think they meant dispense, so I'll just take it for that at face value. All those in favor of the amendment and participating in person will please rise.
Mr. O'Toole.
Mr. O'Toole.
Mr. Genereux.
Mr. Genereux.
Mr. Deltel.
Mr. Deltel.
Mr. Chong.
Mr. Chong.
Mr. Lawrence.
Mr. Lawrence.
Monsieur Berthold.